chat, it's time for our monthly Was I Wrong stream. How are we doing today? This is an impromptu thing. I'm sorry if I sound terrible. If you don't know, I'm on the road, so I'm kind of limited in terms of audio hardware and access to internet, so this stream could also disappear. But yeah, I kind of wanted to hang out because I'm kind of stuck in place for the time being, so I've got nothing else to do really. It's barely audible. Yeah, it'd be like that sometimes. I gotta figure out how to boost the volume on the microphone. Yeah, be careful. Be careful maxing the audio out because it's very possible I could blow your speakers out playing with settings. But this is why it's a second channel stream. Please fix audio quality, Jesus. Yeah, so I don't have a microphone. I can turn myself up, but I'm gonna listen to this stream and it better sound awful. It better sound like I'm in a toilet. That's listenable. Fuck you guys. You can listen to that. It's quiet, but it's listenable. It's not fucking Xbox 360 tier. Let's see. I thought there was... Where's the advanced audio properties on OBS? Does this go above 1? Hang on. Can we just do like 5 decibels? Does that make it louder? I don't think that's louder. No, you kids have been spoiled. I've streamed on a good microphone so much that you guys have like gotten used to me sounding good. I think everybody needs a reminder sometimes that things could always sound worse. The issue is, I'm thinking if it's artificially boosted, then it's gonna like start peaking really bad. And not peak like quality peak, like then Absolute Cinema laptop built-in mic. That's what it is. You think I'm gonna carry a mic? Okay, chat, listen. If you didn't get the announcement, I'm on a coast-to-coast bike ride for St. Jude's, where I'm going through all the Fallout locations. So I don't have a microphone. I'm not gonna carry a microphone. But yeah. It's not better. It's just louder. And all I did was whoops, that's the mute button. I found out how to artificially boost the volume. Why not a horse? Because you can't really ride them long distance. St. Jude? How does that make any sense? People, what they do is they do bike rides where you donate $1 for every mile that you ride. Or like, they commit to donate $1. But yeah. Yeah, so if I carried a microphone, I would one have to carry a microphone, two have to carry like a soft case for it so it doesn't get damaged, and then I'd also have to carry like the audio interface. I could put a blanket over my head. Hang on. Let's soundproof the room. This is a classic, staple, ghetto fucking recording shit. Is this better? I hope this is better. It was somebody else's idea, but doing like a donation sound for smoke alarm chirps. How does something like this work? I just go from place to place. Yes, it is. Do you want to know what I did? I have a sheet over my head and the laptop, and it's stopping the reverb. I wonder if there's like an anti-reverb plugin I could get. Yeah, so staple staple on the road process. Anyways, chat. I was wrong. Okay, I'm not wrong, but something funny happened, and I saw Rags was in here earlier. This has to do with what we made, Rags. Hotboxing laptop fumes. I don't have a shitty laptop, but I do have an old laptop, like an um, ancient Dell XPS. And you guys should show some respect. I've recorded the audio on this laptop, not with the microphone, but on this laptop. This shit's royalty. But yeah, let's see. That disappear. Does this pop it up? No. Before I fuck myself over here. Let's see. I hate OBS. So OBS can be a little temperamental. Here we go. I was on this podcast. And I had fun on it. I did this on the road. It was kind of a pain to like be in a place to record to do it, but I thought it was a fun conversation. But some people were adding me on my Discord over it, so I thought I'd hang out and chat about it because I got nothing better to do. No, the touchpad clicks, Lamal. Yes, the touchpad clicks. I don't have a mouse. Been playing Factorio whenever I have time on a touchpad. Did it hide my link? Yeah, YouTube has a tendency to eat links. Sad to say. We have opinions. Yeah, I wanted to chat about it with my closest friends and family. Let's see. Where are we at? If this has more than 100 viewers, that's too many. I'm sorry, this stream's not low rent enough. You have the touchpad nipple. Aren't those just on ThinkPads? Yeah, it is. Rags, did you read the comments on this? I gotta talk about this because I'm getting second-degree burns. Well, I'm watching a man get second-degree burns. Yeah, it does support tapping. It's just I'm in the habit of clicking, so I do apologize. I will try to be gentle. I actually don't want to touch it that much at all. I had no idea that Dev was so hated by people, dear Lord. I didn't either. I had heard that there's a clip of like Pipkin Pippa yelling at him in a stream chat, and then there was another time he got some Discord drama. That was all I knew about, and I was like, yeah, well, he didn't murder anybody or anything. But yeah, let's read some comments. Oh, boo! This one's actually about the thing, which I didn't know this about the Sir Aelin mod story. It's this comment is claiming that um, they made this mod like in good faith because they liked the voice acting, and people kind of took it to be like bad faith because of the anti-woke stuff going on. And I think they got banned by Nexus was part of the controversy. What channel is this video on? It's on Dog Bites, which I think is Rag's second or third channel. I thought it was a good conversation. Listen, I went in just with the good faith. Like, I didn't really care who I was talking to. Like, there's very few people that I personally dislike that I wouldn't ever go on a good faith conversation with. I was kind of hoping, I did kind of go into it hoping that I disagreed with Dev more, but we ended up kind of having the same position when it came to the body type 1, body type 2 thing. Who is Dev for us who don't know? He's kind of like he's a very old school YouTube, like, not video essay because he kind of predates the whole video essay thing, but he's just kind of an old YouTube guy. But yeah, the comments were cooking him. Doesn't Dev get into a controversy every 2 weeks? Dev comment. Dev comment. Dev comment. Dev comment. Dev comment. Dev comment. Like, wow. They're roasting the shit in there. Dev killed Noah Caldwell Gervais. Really? Man, I hadn't heard that lore. I'm gonna have to follow up on that. Was something controversial said or something? That's what I want. That's what I kind of want to know. Like, doing this stream, like, there's a few of the people that were talking on the Discord in the chat. Can you guys like kind of just fill us in on what was going on? What's interesting, actually, the Discord commentary was mostly like talking about Kretosis's like retweets, which I thought was funny, because usually it's hate for short fat otaku. Dev unironically defended Ruby Ridge. Yeah, okay. That's a good starting point. I started most of the conversation, mostly wished that Kretosis had engaged more with the conversation. Yeah, he kind of got a bad draw with the host lineup because he had to put up with me, who like, I'm very rude, and then he had to put up with the other two who everybody in that call liked to talk a lot, and Kretosis, I think, didn't get a good angle to get in on it. Dev and his community have harassed many a creator. Give me some names. Outside sitting on Destiny's cock 24/7, many things. Okay, but here's the thing. Does he run interference for Destiny pre or post Sex Pest reveal? I mean, people knew that Destiny was a problematic guy for a long time. It was just there weren't really any good like receipts that were out. And so it's like when people say, oh, he was a Destiny dick rider. I'm like, yeah, like half the community was at one point or another at some point in time, right? Like a lot of people, I'm sorry, half of Twitch has rode Destiny's dick. Let's just say that. And I mean in the literal sense. So, Dev spilled my chocolate milk and drowned my goldfish. Oof. Many a crimes. I've watched Destiny for years now and I've never heard of Dev. Yeah, but that's true of like most Destiny orbiters. Like I think I could fairly reasonably believe that you watch Destiny and not know half of the people who like get brought up in Destiny controversies. I think it was pre-Sex Pest, but he did defend him around the Trump assassination attempt stuff. Ooh, yeah, that was the last big before it was revealed that Destiny was sharing sex tapes of people he'd been with. That was like the big thing Destiny got critiqued for before that. Where's the one that said, "Oh, someone posted the Pippa clip"? But the problem with Pippa clips is that it's kind of scary to play one. There was one where it was like they were implying that it was poor judge of character on my part that I went on. Is Rags on Patcord? I don't think he's active. He joined one time to add me, but I think that was about it. I thought you meant the game at first, Lamau. Tell me, chat, what's worse? 2 hours of playing Destiny 2 or 2 hours of listening to short fat otaku? No balls play the Yabbit clip. She might scream that there's a bomb. Like I don't want to do that. I will say Pipkin Pippa clips are very funny, and I have seen the clip before. Destiny always has some controversy going on. When his porn sharing controversy goes away, something new will pop up 100%. I'm sorry, but I don't know. I kind of find it hard to believe that Destiny is just going to walk away from sharing other people's sex tapes without their consent. I know he's been going against Trump despite a very right-wing fan base, which has caused quite a bit of friction. But I mean, like, was it a heel turn? Like, how did he end up with a right-wing fan base if he's like kind of consistently right-wing, anti-right-wing? Like, I don't know. Make that make sense to me. It's funny. It is funny that people have only given vague anecdotes about Dev so far. Yeah, I'm kind of like I'm giving it a few minutes for people like if they've got receipts, they can share them. Was the pod spur of the moment, or was it sort of planned for a bit? It was planned for a bit, but there was not a lot of certainty about who would be there. There were a few other people that were kind of invited that didn't show up for one reason or another, and um, there was a bit of struggle on my part, like making sure I could be somewhere to record it. Dev is an anti-SJW YouTuber, so he attracted a lot of Trump's non-Republican base. So when he said Trump tried to steal 2020's election, he lost them. Ah, okay. Medicare streaming? Perfect. That should down the number of people watching this. Who are these people? I'm here for Pleb TV. I did a podcast about the body type 1, body type 2 thing and like Nexus mods took it down, and we talked a lot about like the history of Nexus mods taking things down, a lot of their like inconsistencies. I thought it was an all right conversation. I enjoyed it. I think it could be good content. I do think there's a degree of like people hating the podcast or thinking it's bad just because short fat otaku is there. All right, someone's filling this in here. With Kirsch, which I believe is a VTuber, there was a gentleman's agreement between the two to not talk after some mod drama. Dev then broke the agreement and did a Destiny-style dishonest hit job against her. Hold on. Is Destiny known for like dishonest hit jobs? What I know Destiny for is like the JonTron thing, like ambushing kind of creators that aren't really like good at debates and like confronting them on with kind of like generic center left kind of talking points. I know Destiny for getting blown by Nick Fuentes in a pool. Listen, Nick Fuentes' lawyer says that it wasn't him, so. Yeah, when I think dishonest hit job videos, I think like iDubbbz Content Cop. No, we were talking about the revenge porn, which I do absolutely disavow. He's a debate bro. I think Destiny is the debate bro. I'm pretty sure he like pioneered that. He pioneered that cancerous genre, which is amazing because so like Destiny would get orbiters, and then his orbiters would like start their own like stream shows, and then like all those guys hate Destiny, and then those orbiters got their own orbiters that like went through the same process. It's like a fractal tree of just stupid fucking like center left orbiting uh, debate tactics. Like the lamest kids that were in debate club having online discourse about like real life politics. It's an amazingly stupid genre of content. I suspect the real reason this wasn't live was to prevent all the why is here, what dev here, kick dev chats. No, it was a different type of content. Nothing more really to it than that. Dev was in a tabletop RPG thing with Sargon, Arch Warhammer, and V, and he kept arguing with the other three guys who just disagreed with him, but didn't bring such disagreements up and just wanted to play. I'm sorry, can we pause and go back to there was a tabletop RPG with Sargon of Akkad, Arch Warhammer, V, and Short Fact Otaku. How do new patrons access the Discord? So I get like mixed things on this. I think the invite should be good, not the invite. Check the main channel page for an invite, and if that's not good, I'm pretty sure the Discord like in the past has dragged people like it has dragged patrons into the server. Like one time somebody asked me to ban them because it literally kept dragging them back into the server and they didn't want to be there. Speaking of Medicare, Dev did do a stream with one of Medicare's old chat room friends. He tried to get info to smear him, but nothing came of that. I don't, like, okay, Medicare's talked about the Medicare thing. I don't know how real any of that is, because there's amazingly, like, zero receipts for any of that. Like, I think there might be, like, 2 screenshots, and that's it, that forum ever existed. No private sessions. I don't want to drag... You know, private sessions dodged a bullet with this thing. I invited him to it. And I think he... I'm not going to speak for him. If I had to guess, the reason that he didn't do it was just... He had just finished the Skyrim video, and, like, he kind of wanted to take a break. So I think he, like... It's one of those things where, like, you don't show up to a function, and then it ends up being, like, for the best. I still don't understand what you were wrong about. I'm being hyperbolic. I think the only thing that I was, like, wrong about was just, like, if you think that, like, by me associating with Dev, that makes me a bad person, then I could be considered wrong, but I don't necessarily even believe that. Here we go. Here's the guy. Wow, I knew that you were unreasonably friendly with Dev, but I never expected the other two to sully their reputations like this, which he did say, like, fair enough, let's not do guilt by associations. But it does make me think, like, am I going to be in trouble in, like, 6 months because there's going to be, like, one guy who thinks that, like, oh yeah, that's Pat. He openly associates with the enemy. Pet would reveal when, Pat. Well, not right now, because I'm not around them. Alright, hang on. I'll pull up a Discord link. If your account is properly linked with the Patreon thing, you gotta link your Patreon account with the Discord, like, on Patreon. If you do that, then you should, like, auto get the role, but I will still make the invite. If I can. Create invite. Just got here. Is he in a well? Yes. No, I'm under a blanket. Everyone clutches pearls these days. That is kind of annoying. An annoying, like, intercultural, like, war moment thing is, like, as the Overton window shifts, you kind of have a lot of, like purity checking and stuff like that. Oh no, I would never sweep for somebody doing bad shit. Alright, cool. Glad we fixed the Discord thing. But yeah, this was like a funny thing that happened. Because, I mean, like, they are roasting his shit. Even this one's like a backhanded. That was an interesting talk about the history of Nexus mods and their selective enforcement of their rules. Good job staying on topic, Dev. Like, even that's backhanded. Honestly, the pearl clutching is lame as shit. I think Tumblr nuking their 18 plus content kind of broke the containment zone. So there were several containment zones that were broken at the same time. Um, there was Tumblr, and then there was 8chan. That was like two sides of the same coin that got broken at the same time. And both of those containment zones going down at the same time really like shattered the internet, because all of those autists, like whether they were posting about other kin on Twitter or whether they were getting upset about like gay sex scenes in Mass Effect, like yeah, both of those containment zones being broken has resulted in the modern internet hellscape. And they literally, like, they still haven't learned this lesson. They think that like if you shut down the website where they hang out, that'll like shut down the discourse, and it's like, no, it's like fucking stepping on a termite hive. Like, you're not, that's not going to solve the problem. The termites are still there. Isn't 4chan back now? Yeah. Yeah, I don't even know the story of what happened with it going down, because I've been on the road, so like anything that's been news in the past like 6 weeks has just been like, there's a chance I haven't heard it. I'm not explaining it again. Go watch the VOD at the start. Pope's dead. Yeah, I heard about that one. If it was like really big news, I've heard about it. But if it's like, Pat, did you hear that this drama happened? I'm going to tell you right now. The only drama that I know about is the like iDubbbz, Ethan Klein, Hassan Piker, like that whole space. That's like the only thing I know about it. 4chan kicked the Wojak board off the website for raiding the LGBT board, and in revenge, they compromised the admin account and doxed everyone on payroll. Well, isn't Wojak their own thing? I already thought that they were their own website. Weren't they the website that they doxed the chick that made Coffin of Andy and Lele? Well, thank you. I thought it was a fine conversation. You know, I did a little bit of research. I put together a list of stories. We talked about the Judy mod, the Spider-Man mod, the Baldur's Gate 3 mod. These are the ones I brought up. The Baldur's Gate 3 mods, the Marvel Rivals stuff, and then like the modern stuff. And then like people rag on Dev, but like he brought like half of the research with him. He knew about stuff that I had either forgotten or just had never known about. Like he reminded me of the Mass Effect butt shot mod, both of them. The one that removes it from Mass Effect 2 and the one that adds it back to Legendary Edition. And what else did he bring up? Oh yeah, he brought up some of the like Silent Hill stuff. Did you hear that the extra credits man stole Volsh's liver and got shot by Kent Hovind in a Cracker Barrel backlot? I hadn't heard that, but that makes sense given that I haven't heard people mention Vosh in a while. The only time I've only heard like historical stuff about Vosh lately, and it mostly has to do with like some of the Hassan orbiters. By doing the biking thing means you've donated more money to charity than Creator Clash 2. Oh no, absolutely. I was thinking about that. Like, so apparently they're looking for more fighters, and I was like, as funny as it would be to fight in Creator Clash, I'm almost certain that my shitty little bike ride will raise more money than Creator Clash 2. possibly Creator Clash 3. I don't know how they haven't canceled that thing at this point. They've lost several fighters, not a ton, but like they lost their main card. They lost one of their side cards. They lost the side card of like the only YouTuber at Creator Clash that actually promotes this shit. Like if I was at home, honestly, you know what fun side project I'd love to do? I would love to sit down and take the Creator Clash 2 card, like the fight card of everybody who fought that night, and see, like, just check all their social media and see, like, how many of them even promoted it. Because the whole concept of Creator Clash is that you're getting a bunch of influencers together to box, and yet half these people got paid 20 grand plus to not promote the event. Like, none of them are, like, making videos about it. None of them are talking about it. The only people that talked about it was fucking H3H3. Guess who content cop? Fucking the guy running it. Guess who makes a fucking content cop on? The one guy that was advertising the event. Like, are they, like, allergic to success? Is there, like... It really is incredible. Hassan is going to finally react to Ethan's content nuke on stream and give that money to CC, so it might manage to donate something. Yeah, that does sound like it would be a decent amount of money. Has anyone explained the Kirsch dev drama? Someone alluded to it. iDubbbz snaking H3 was basically self-immolation. iDubbbz, that content cop was like one of the most insane exposed videos that has ever been made on the platform. Like, him self-owning himself, there's like 4 instances of him like defeating his own arguments in that video. Creator Clash was in the video description of the H3 content deputy uploaded yesterday. Do you know where Creator Clash should have been? It should have been in the fucking content cop. Because people actually watch that. And not just like, why does iDubbbz have to be remembered to like advertise his fucking boxing event? Him becoming a Hassan simp is still the worst part. Hey, is there something about Hassan that I don't get? Listen. He's kind of attractive, but the man has such pregnant pauses that it's just like it's hard for me to watch a Hassan clip. Like there's a hilarious clip of Hassan confronting like Willie Mack show that kind of emblemizes the entire Hassan discourse, which is like he knows nothing about video creation. He's very disingenuous with the way he presents information because he knows exactly how to like say things to manipulate chat into always supporting him. Hassan has a hold on Twitch for some reason. We don't have to speculate about what this for some reason is. They show favoritism to those guys. Actually, this is a stream appropriate. Guys.
As Xbox Game Studios, Activision, Bethesda, and Blizzard. I am personally of the mind that Palestine needs to be free from Israeli occupation. If you feel
That's some off-the-cuff wild shit, man. Who saw that coming? Holy fuck! You got to give it to Super Rad. He's always got something in his videos that like that throws you off. What video is that? That is Super Rad's coverage of the Oblivion remaster. Literally unsolicited opinions on Israel. Dude, I'm glad someone else remembers that fucking meme. That needs to make a comeback. There was a comic like circa 2015, 2016 where they were like kind of making fun of like right-wing guys, and like one of the panels is just her saying unsolicited opinions on Israel question mark. And like at this point that needs to make a comeback as well. I like how we followed with the face reveal. Haven't we known like that what we've known for years what Super Rad looks like. He looks like his avatar. He looks like that little potato that is his avatar. But I thought he did that around like the Starfield video. Wrong about what? I did this podcast where I did a very detailed kind of breakdown of the why of my take on. Oh no, hang on, I gotta scroll up. I posted some takes. I posted some takes on the podcast about the Israel-Palestine conflict. No. All right, let's the fucker gay ops. It's like when someone's like trying to do a trolling campaign, but they're very cringe about it. You know, I've this entire bike ride, the charity bike ride, I've been like threatening myself with seeing the Minecraft movie. Was I wrong? I wrong about open parenthetical about the about Oblivion question mark. We're changing subjects. I think we've chatted enough about short fat otaku. Unless that guy, there's a guy who's like supposedly writing up a thing on the Kirsch thing we can read. But can you relay the Israel-Palestine conflict in Elder Scrolls terms for us? Yeah, go play Morrowind. Oh, I think that's it. Kirsch went to Dev to have him ask his mods to stop, and he just flat out denied it happened, and then he got caught in a leak joking with the mod and saying how she was mad at being harassed by them. Yeah, this sounds shitty. I mean, it's understandable why VTubers would hate him. How fat is your ass after all this bike riding? I apologize for destroying the microphone, but in your stream with private sessions, you mentioned what does discovering empathy mean? I tried thinking about it and I still can't understand it. iDubbbz drama. Yeah, what's not to understand? He started going to therapy and realized that he didn't know what empathy was until the age of 32. How does Morrowind relate to the Middle East, though? It really doesn't. Like, you could take like any story that's like generically about imperialism and relate it to Israel, but like that's just one tiny facet of the conflict that it's kind of disingenuous. I'm gonna take this blanket off for a second. Oh my god. Israel is Windhelm, Gaza is the Dark Elf neighborhood. The Dunmer are the Jews, or are the Imperials the Jews? No comment. You know, I've actually heard theories for every racial group in Elder Scrolls being like different iterations of the Hebrew people. Wasn't there an analysis that Morrowind was about imperialism? It is about imperialism. It's like tacitly about like kind of just an amalgam of like American like generic critique about imperialism. So you've got missionaries, and you got like a mix of missionaries and economic imperialism, and then like literal imperialism. And I mean, like, there's a race that's called imperial in the name. Like, let's be real. I know that the threat of making drama streams at the worst damn hour for everyone involved was real, but 3 a.m. on a Sunday is unreal. I mean, you do have a Polish name, so it's not 3 a.m. where I am. It is later than I usually stream, though. All right, let's see. Let's get to the point of the stream. Oh, yeah. I gotta mention this exists.
So it's basically illegal to release a 7-hour...
Why is it playing audio? I went back off of that page. This is very funny. Wait, what's the description? Did he change the... Is this a new one, or did he change the description? I had gotten so sick of scrolling through his damn video. I didn't even get to the part where he runs around without his armor because he's terrified that he might not get 3+5s on his level up. Somehow his level 4 wasn't even 3+5s. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the point. Leveling in base Oblivion is really fucking annoying, and it's really easy to mess things up. That was the point of the video. But yeah, I'm not watching that guy. But there is something I'm working on, and I'm not working on it. I have someone else helping me who's doing the most of the bulk of the work, but it is something that's in progress, which is an Oblivion. I'm doing a like Spotify release of the Oblivion video, and it's funny that he's in the chat actually, and. Like, obviously, one of the advantages of doing the Spotify thing is I'm going to remaster the audio, but I'm not really going to put a ton of work into, like, remastering the entire thing. There's just a few things I want to address. Like, you know the famous, like, Mountain Blade fuck-up I did? Anybody who's, like, back from the Oblivion days probably knows about this. Let me load up Obsidian, because I think it's at the top of the stack. Oh no, I had to restart Obsidian, so it's not. That's fine. Let me just search. Mordhau. Alright, here's the quote. But you say, won't this just inherit the best attack problem for Morrowind? Meet Mordhau. Mordhau has directional attacks as well as upward and downward swings and thrusting attacks. Mountain Blade would also later use the model of directional attacks as well. No, really, Elder Scrolls was actually early to the first-person melee brawler party. So, like, that quote got me in trouble with some people because, and I understand why this happened, there's people that just misunderstood what was being said because the chronological reference was supposed to be, here's a recent game that's doing it, and then here's, like, kind of an older game that's doing it, and then like, because the fine point is Morrowind was early and there were later games that did what Morrowind was trying to do with directional attacks and got it to work, so like them abandoning it for Oblivion didn't really make sense. The problem was that like the chronology of that statement just doesn't make sense, because what it implied to some people was that I was saying that Mountain Blade, like the original Mountain Blade, was inspired by Mordhau, a game that came out over a decade later. And like, obviously that's not what I mean, because that's like just like categorically untrue, but as you said before, some people have the amazing ability to miss the point. But the thing is that like, I understand why some people misunderstood that. And the opportunity with like remastering the audio or the video for a Spotify release is that I can just add like a word. I can say additionally Mountain Blade, and that should, yeah, the bottles. Yeah, if I add one word, that should fix the fix the misinterpretation issue. Directional attacks against NPCs is still kind of garbage, honestly. No, the AI in Mountain Blade's able to like handle it pretty well. Like it defends against it just enough to like make it fairly engaging. I parsed it pretty easy. Seems like a skill issue. Sure, it is a skill issue, but at the same time, like there's tons of little things that I could fix like that. And so like I've been kind of, hang on, there's a second document. I've been kind of like making a list. Like I want to do the, you know how I still don't actually know what's going on with dropping Nirnroot in Oblivion. And yes, I say Nirnroot, that's my accent. That's not something I'll fix, but I don't know what's going on with dropping Nirnroot in Oblivion, and I'd like to find out like what confused me. And that might involve like busting out the old Xbox and like booting up Xbox 360 Oblivion to see if like there's some kind of version mismatch issue, or like did the unofficial patch make it so you can't or can? Like I don't even remember. But I'd like to definitively figure out what was going on, so if that needs to be fixed, I can fix it. Let's see. And then there's just, oh yeah, acknowledge Skyrim changed level scaling so you see low level critters, because that was one of the things I said was that like you stop seeing, like in monster caves, you kind of stop seeing imps in Oblivion, and I wanted to like address that. Like Skyrim did actually fix that. Like you still see the level 1 Draugr when you're like level 50 and doing Draugr crypts, and not just if you do like redo like Draugr crypts that are, because in Skyrim when you go in a dungeon it locks the level it's supposed to be at. But no, like new dungeons at level 50 will still have the level 1 Draugr. It's funny that Morrowind had the system and didn't do anything with it, aside from maybe one specific weapon type have a better quick attack versus charged attack. No, that's the disappointing thing, is that like they had the start of a system. The problem was that every weapon just had like a best attack. And so like one of the patches just added a toggle to like, yeah, just make it so it always does the best attack, because like there's no situation where you really need the other like attack types. I literally could not drop Nirnroot on my Xbox 360 copy. I did not have it connected to Xbox Live for the longest time too. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like I legitimately remember that. So I'd like to get to the bottom of like what was going on with that situation. I remember you mentioning schizo game design in Skyrim. What was the worst thing in that regard in Skyrim? Oh man. The worst element of schizo design in Skyrim. It depends on like if you're wanting me to answer like whether it's offensive or it's just confusing. I think item and perk descriptions of their magic effects are like pretty bad. But yeah, if there's anything I'm wrong about with Oblivion, I might start, well, this doesn't help, but I'd like to know, like actually wrong, not just, not this wrong. I don't know, maybe I'll check that out. I do get to, the funny thing is I do get to mention the super rad thing, and I get to make it longer so I can re-up on super rad and have the longest coverage. And then like if he tries to one-up me, I've always got the remaster, because I also want, like when I get back, I want to like dive into working on a coverage of the remaster, I'm sure a design document wouldn't fix the schizo design. So we know Ken Rolston didn't use design documents, and that does kind of explain Oblivion. To me, Skyrim was kind of like the most cohesive narratively, because like Oblivion's narrative is all over the place. Whereas, and by narrative I mean like the sub-narratives of all the different quest lines. I don't know if I agree they fixed the leveling system in Oblivion. I've been hearing things. Let's just say. I'm very excited to get my hands on it and see what they changed, because I've been hearing that it is very trivial to level now. Like, I have a friend who's doing it who's like reached that point in like the power threshold where like they're literally unkillable, and like they've done at most like one quest line. Like they did the Knights of the Nine quest line and that's it. Now we're listening to we were / are were in 4 minutes. We're listening to Azrima's Dial music. But it probably is that it's not complete ass. As I understand, magic was changed to factor in magic at cost into XP skill gain, which is like literally... No, okay, listen, forgive me. I didn't write a Patreon post about it. I posted about it on the Discord. If you are a patron, you should be on the Discord, but I understand if you're not. But yes, I have time. I'm thinking I'll write a post about it tomorrow, just telling patrons that I'm doing it. It's better than OG, but not as good as modded. We gotta go back to high reverb audio. But yeah, no, I actually haven't been on the Twitter. So I haven't been reading Twitter, and I haven't been posting on Twitter. And I guess I'm better for it. I don't know, I'm still mad. I've been I've been getting harassed a lot by like mostly trucks, honestly. Like the other day, at the end of the day, I was like, you know, I don't care about people using those tire deflators anymore on like random trucks. It's like fuck them. Like I get honked at least 3 times, like 3 to 5 times a day. People scream out their window at me. There's some people that coal me, where they slow down and then they rev their engine very fast to produce like a ton of exhaust. People do that to me. And so it's like, yeah. Are you still in Brazil, Pat? No, I'm in America. That's kind of the funny thing, is that there's a lot of people who are like, Americans are very nice, and I have experienced like a decent amount of charity, but it's like it's completely overshadowed by people just being like mean for no reason. The charity bike ride radicalized Pat. Coal rolling is really funny, you got to admit. I don't see how it's funny. I got to be honest. What the fuck? Americans are unhinged? Well, and the worst part is that like if you say anything about it, people are like, well, at least you're not getting killed with a machete. And it's like, cool, I guess I have to be grateful that I don't live in the standards of the third world. Why would they do that if you weren't in their way? Because like you can literally just harass cyclists in America and like there's 0 consequences for it. Like they'll never see me again. I guess they outlet, like people do the same stuff with like YouTube comments. It's like people who leave mean comments on videos are generally just like having a bad day and making you the subject of that bad day. I'm looking at the old Knights like profile thing, and it's like, is he on the server? If the old Knight's on the server, can he like write a post about what I'm wrong about so I don't have to watch the video? All right, music track is done. Let's switch to Blood Mist Isle music. By the way, I think TBC era WoW music was probably the peak. I wonder how many of them got treated like crap by cyclists. But the weird thing is that like there's not that many cyclists in the United States. I could tell a story, but it would indicate too much what part of the world I'm in. But I have a story of like a trucker that I inconvenienced, but like it was a situation where if I explained it to you, you would understand why what was happening. But it's like this person was like unreasonably pissed off because they were like made 10 seconds later to like the bar so that they could drink and drive. I don't know. I've noticed that I've become like slightly more toxic than I usually am after being on this trip, just because. Oh no, it's almost always so. Like the funny thing is, everywhere I go is a place where trucks are needed because I'm usually not in big cities, right? But I still see like a lot of pavement princesses, and I love the term, by the way. I think pavement princess is like top tier term. So is Oblivion Remaster Wilker based? Call it. No. No, the thing is that like there's nice people everywhere. It's just that there's like people with cars have like a really broad range. So like they could be anywhere in a 50-mile radius around where they live. And so like the statistical probability that you will encounter somebody who needs to have their license suspended is like pretty high. This one really annoying British cyclist that posted videos of him raging at drivers finally announced that he's quitting posting them because everyone sides with the drivers. Yeah, that's the thing, is that like some of these urbanist people, or like some of these cyclist people, like, yeah, they are legitimately unhinged. Have you had any really crazy foods during the trip? I am a terrible tourist, just FYI. Like, full stop. All right. Don't blast me.
So it's
Hey,
basically-
come on. Why is YouTube so unresponsive? It's just like, yeah, we're gonna start the video at full volume and not give you even the opportunity to play with the settings. All right. Do we start with character creation? I guess we should. I wanted to skip the intro because I already know the intro needs to be like reworked to make more sense in a Spotify context. Damn. I swear there were more.
Of Oblivion. So if you love Oblivion, I don't know, maybe. But there's more than just the content of the game to think about here, and I would feel irresponsible if I didn't at least mention this next point. Microsoft has recently been targeted by the BDS movement, or Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions, a Palestinian-led movement for freedom, justice, and equality. The BDS have reported that Microsoft is the most...
Just pirate it. Shit. I don't get it. It's like the Hogwarts Legacy thing. That shit was cracked in like 2 weeks. Just pirate it. Who gives a shit? It's not like it's not a first or I am working with somebody on the video remaster thing. So it's not necessarily like something else is being set back because ideally, I don't know what. Can I get the fucking timestamps, please? Jesus, YouTube.
In discussing problems.
Okay, here we go. This should be about it. But yeah, it's not like it's not. What comes first kind of just depends on like a lot of factors I can't predict. But still made a monetized video. That's my favorite new anti-Hassan argument is like, why do you still pay taxes? You pay taxes and like a third of your revenue goes to Amazon, which is on the list. Oh my god, I can't do the blanket thing. It's so bad. You're gonna have to put up with the reverb. This game was cracked day one. That's what I'm fucking saying. I care more about the remaster representing Bethesda's creative bankruptcy. Well, as I understand, Bethesda didn't really make it. So it's like, it's not Bethesda's creative bankruptcy so much as like whoever, like Virtuos or whoever. You don't like the EPA, yet breathe air. Interesting. Yeah, but I mean, like, if you're saying it, like, okay, the reason it came up is that they're like, um, you have a moral obligation to not do your mandatory service to the IDF. And it's like, if they don't do their service to the IDF, then they go to jail. So it's like, at that point, we might as well say, yeah, don't pay your fucking taxes. You're sending money to fucking Israel. What, are you scared to go to jail for the cause? Don't pay your taxes, coward. That's kind of the point, is that, like, it's just a hypocritical double standard. Like, everybody accepts that, like, yeah, okay, you kind of have to pay your taxes because they're going to fucking throw you in jail if you don't. All right.
I didn't personally experience because of the patch, which are still in the game despite the several official patches that did happen.
Cool. Or signing up for the draft when you turn 18. So I did, but like, don't people get away with that? Like, just don't. Like, if don't people fucking dodge selective service all the time? I don't care that he made a monetized video personally. I just didn't like the soft shaming and virtue signaling coupled with it. I think it's just part of his signature style at this point. He's got like that checklist he's got to go through, and it's like, what's the big controversy this time? What's Hassan talking about? Got to mention that. No, I didn't miss the Arthmore drama. That was funny. Now is the best time to dodge the IRS. It's true. But I think the IRS employees that got fired were probably the people doing PPP loan investigations, because that was why Biden hired so many people to the IRS during his administration. It wasn't to like conservatives made it out like they were going to be persecuting conservatives, but it was actually about like investigating the massive amount of fraud that went on during COVID. Do people sign up? I think you sign up. There were like posters that would say like, yeah, you get in trouble if you don't sign up for selective service. It's the dumbest thing because it's like, I doubt they're ever going to do a draft again. You know what? I'll leave the question of if the video is about the remaster or being remastered up to you. Oh, I think I remember. I think I had to sign up for the selective service to get the Pell Grant.
This is a continuation of our Morrowind character.
I didn't even intend that. Holy shit. I like this is a continuation of our Morrowind character, and it's this fucking balding guy. That's a funny, like, unintentional bit.
This is a continuation of our Morrowind character, specifically our character from the main quest.
Yeah.
Unfortunately for the Nerevarine, the mix-up at the East Empire Company means all those crimes committed by Umbra got pinned on him instead. That 300,000 gold bounty translates roughly to an 8-year prison sentence in Tamrielic law, of which he's currently served 6 years since the end of Blood Moon. 6 years.
Which apparently you don't serve more than a week in Skyrim. I never knew that. That's such a crazy... Like, why is that even a thing in Skyrim? I have heard of people, like, getting really high bounties in Oblivion and then serving it so that the time passes, like, 400 years. But we're going to have to meet in the middle and just have the subtitles on as the middle ground.
Years in the Imperial City Rehabilitation and Corrections Facility. Since each day represents a skill point lost, our skills were reset back to default again. The only reason this was allowed was that the Nerevarines' lawyer forgot to take his Fortify Intelligence potion that morning and did such a horrific job at legal defense, he was also thrown in prison in the cell across from his client. Now, while it's fun to pretend that each Elder Scrolls protagonist is the same character, they can't and really shouldn't be. This is mostly just a way of saying I'm playing the same Breton battle mage born under the Atronax sign again, with the class currently on screen. Yes, that is an abomination. And...
Now, if I remember, one of the things that was brought up to me with the Old Knight video was that this class sucks. And it's like, yeah, that was the point. Why did Bethesda remove the lore bit that the Empire enslaves prisoners? Okay, that's a bit of a disingenuous stretch. They enslave prisoners the same way that America enslaves prisoners, which is they have prison work programs. I don't know if they pay them in the Empire, but historically, prisoners getting paid is kind of a very modern, like, liberal concept. You're in prison. Sometimes part of your punishment is that you're forced to work for the benefit of the state. They buffed the Lord sign in the remaster massively. It's now probably the best sign. Yeah, I heard that there was a big change to one of the signs. Again, this is why I want to, when I get back, I want to, like, dive into the remaster, because I'm curious to see a lot of this stuff. They get paid in California, I know that, because they were complaining that they were paid, like, sub-minimum wage to fight fires.
Yes, I will talk about why it is the way it is.
Let's see, let me remember. Magic, yes. Endurance, luck. Yeah, those are meta picks. Endurance, because I don't remember if endurance starts you with more health, but obviously having 10 more endurance at start gives you rolling faster. And then mainly skills I don't use. But heavy armor. I think heavy armor is the only skill in this class that was part of the primary rotation, and that was because it's an endurance skill, and so it gives you the most, like, you can control when you level up because if you only have heavy armor in your class. That's why this is considered to be one of the types of meta class. Obviously, there's multiple, like, kind of theories. There's multiple theories when it comes to metagaming Oblivion. I feel like permitting slavery for prisoners is a potential incentive for persecution. Let me tell you about almost every nation that has ever existed in history. Like, I don't know what to tell you, man. There's a lot of states that consider like prison is a punishment for crimes because you wronged society and you got put to work to fix it. Endurance is retroactive. Bruh, no. Bruh. Oh, God. Bruh. What? No. That's like the worst fucking mod for Morrowind. I hate that. No offense, no shade to the person who made it, but I hate that fucking retroactive Morrowind's health mod. This is the worst way to fucking solve the endurance health problem. You know, I've sat down and like tried to rework Oblivion or Morrowind's health gain system to be to make endurance like the least important attribute in that game. And I get it. It's a tough problem. It's a tough nut to crack. But retroactive health gain ain't it. Retroactive health gain sucks. Doesn't the retroactive endurance help fix the level problem? Oh, no, it does. Oh, I'm sorry for peeking. Yeah, it does fix the problem. It's just, oh my god, it's the worst way to fix it. It's so lame. Because you go from making endurance the best attribute in the game to the worst attribute in the game. That's my experience. Because I tried it out. I did that in Morrowind. And my experience was, okay, now that instead of endurance being mandatory, I could just level it whenever and not care. And it turns into the worst attribute. I think that's what happens in Fallout 3. How would you fix it? I still don't have a conclusive answer to how you fix endurance. My best prototype was factoring in willpower and agility as also being part of the health gain formula, just to lesser extents. So like endurance is the biggest contributor to health gain, and then agility is the second biggest, and then willpower is the third biggest. So like endurance is still a good pick if health gain is the name of your gain, but if you're doing like a high agility or a magic build, like, because part of the problem is giving willpower something to do. But yeah, you either have Oblivion endurance where it's the best attribute in the game, or you have Fallout 3 endurance where it's the worst attribute in the game. Okay, Fallout 3 endurance is not the worst attribute in the game. It's the worst serious attribute in the game. The worst attribute is charisma. I'm sorry, there's no upside. Like how fatigue works in Morrowind? Yeah, that was part of the motivation. But yeah, I've never been a fan of retroactive health gain. I think it makes endurance a terrible attribute. What am I doing? Oh, yeah.
I'm also not going to be playing multiple characters like I did in my Morrowind video. There are several reasons.
I kind of stand by that. I stand by not playing multiple characters in Oblivion. I don't know. I'm on the fence about it. Private Sessions' videos on Skyrim have kind of convinced me that it is kind of the way that you go about approaching these games, but at the same time, I don't know. I kind of stand by Oblivion being a one and done kind of game. No, perception is the worst in Fallout 3, or am I wrong? Oh no, charisma is absolutely the worst attribute in Fallout 3. Okay. Number one, there's almost no good perks for it. Like, I think it's Master Trader's like the only decent perk. And I guess like there are perks for it, but they're gimmicky and they're not very good. And then what charisma affects is not all that impressive. It's like your percentage chance on skill checks, which I like the idea of, but at the same time, no. The meta in Fallout 3 is literally always dump charisma. Like every meta character in Fallout 3 dumps charisma, and then it's just like a gimmick if you ever use it.
Reasons for this decision, ranging from the fact that you really don't need to the fact that you really shouldn't. This game is a complicated tapestry, and fully appreciating its higher levels requires a single character. For now, let's discuss Oblivion.
I agree with base Oblivion. As I understand, the leveling has been made faster. Retroactive means it will scale to your level no matter when you start adding endurance. It just means that, like, if you, I think this is it. If you would have gained health because you had 60 instead of 50 endurance at level 2, then, like, you will retroactively have gained that health.
Introduction. It starts with a word from Captain Picard about his
Yeah, this is
death and
so. This is one of the things I have to figure out is how do we do the bingo card in the audio only format? I might change some of these just because, like, without the bingo card, I think the Captain Picard bit is fucking cringe if you don't have the bingo card.
and how that will lead to the destruction of life on Tamriel. This is a tad more active than the prophecy stuff presented in Morrowind, which was largely written off by the first character you meet as a dream. Azura in that cutscene mostly just says that you've been chosen for some unspecified task and then you wake up. Here, Professor Xavier tells us how urgent the situation is and then shows us the consequences for ignoring it. Write that down, it's important later. After that, we create our character, which can range from hilarious Shrek monster to an approximation of the human form. The faults of Oblivion's face gen are fairly self-evident. However, it's important to remember that the goofier faces you encounter are a consequence of them being intentionally created that way, and not necessarily just because face gen itself is faulty. The game basically just packages the same exact tools the designer had for character creation and puts it in live. Regardless, once you have your creature ready, you're deposited into your prison cell. We're never given a reason for why we're in prison, how long we've been here, or how long our sentence is. That said, it's an open enough prompt to adjust it to whatever character we want. Maybe we're a petty thief, or a murderer, or it's just wrongful imprisonment. Whatever the case, it doesn't last, as after a racial lashing from the Dunmer across the hall, none other than Emperor Uriel Septim the Seventh himself arrives with an armed escort to escape the city through our prison cell.
Okay, I think this is more technical. I'm gonna go to the arena section then, because I was hoping for the more technical stuff and less like narrative bits. But I'm starting to remember that I do talk about my class more in the arena section. Master Trainer post level 80 skill gold cost was sub 100 gold each level. Honestly, I don't remember what they are by default. I'll take your word for it that it's lowered, but I don't think it was. As I recall, using trainers in Oblivion was more so a matter of it being inconvenient than it being like expensive. Where is Emil in all the remakes marketing? I mean, he didn't make he didn't, he wasn't in charge of the remake, so why would he be in the marketing? Seems it's kind of reasonable to let him off the hook on that one. When was the last time I did Skyrim? Might be the last time I did one of these styles of intersection transition cards. Making these was cool. Because obviously there's no font that has the Oblivion style thing, so I had to make the assets to get the lava font for the different sections, and then this like parchment paper background was I had to work a lot to get that done. But we didn't do it on Starfield, and we didn't do it on World of Warcraft because I didn't have the time with WoW. I didn't have the time with either of those. Okay, hang on. These need to be shortened, though. For, changes, yeah. Shortened title cards. Because obviously there's no title card in an audio-only format. So...
The arena is the first faction of our character, as it takes place almost entirely within the Imperial City arena. This is, of course, largely referential to the first Elder Scrolls game Arena, which grew past its ambition of simply being an arena fighting game to having an entire world outside the arena to explore.
I'd like to go back and revisit, because like the one guy was like putting me on blast for having an inefficient level at level 4. I'd love to go back and like see what the context of it was, of like what happened. Were you wrong? Well, let's see.
Than just the content of the game to think about here, and I would feel irresponsible if I didn't at least mention this next point. Microsoft has recently been targeted by the BDS movement, or Boycott, Divestment, Sanctions. The Palestinians in Gaza. making them a priority target for the movement. Microsoft provides the Israeli military with Azure cloud and AI services and have been providing.
So who was really right about Oblivion, chat?
A game set entirely inside an arena would be focused entirely on combat, which arguably isn't to the strength or focus of the series. We'll talk about that in the Fighter Skill section, because it's a bigger all-encompassing problem line before us, and there's a reason I'm putting it in this section first. The arena is a simple faction, in that it's basically a series of fights from beginning to end, with one whole quest at the end. This is fine, great even. What's strange about the faction is that despite its simplicity, it never really bothers explaining the fundamental questions of the faction, like who is the yellow team?
I remember there was a guy who was like really mad about this who is the yellow team question. Like, absolutely furious. He was like some Oblivion like super defender who was like, "Why do you care who the yellow team is, huh? Isn't it obvious?" And it's like, I don't know. I think the faction could have used a little more meat on it to explain these kinds of things.
Where did they come from?
Oh, you know what it is? You know what it is? So usually I have separate audio channels for the music and the video, but because I'm on the road, I don't have that option. So I'm kind of, so it's going to be like, the problem is that to make it where you guys can hear it better, I'd have to make it ear-shatteringly loud for me. Everyone knows that the yellow team represents Palestine and your player character is a Zionist.
They seem to share training space with the blue team, but there's only one door up from here, and Owen, the Blade Master, seems to act like there is an opposing side to us. But there isn't. We could say it's all fake, but that doesn't excuse how bare bones the faction really is.
Oh! Maybe I'm screwing up the chronology. I don't remember, okay? You gotta give me credit here. But spitballing the theory, maybe I had an off level because I was like fighting in the arena at the time.
Put the raiment on.
Because you can only take the raiment off once. Like if you take the raiment off, it ends the arena fight. And so it's like, but the raiment is armor. Like you make level progress in the arena by wearing the armor, and that could have been it. But I don't know. There's a whole host of like potential reasons why I had an off level. Like I didn't try that hard to min max Oblivion. Like Jesus, calm down.
Arrange a fight, wait for the announcer to finish his bit, fight, and then go and get paid. I got the faction done in 2 days. If you do it at a higher level and start as soon as the arena opens, you could feasibly complete it in a single in-game day. So while we do that, let's discuss Oblivion's leveling problem.
Yeah, is it fair to talk about Oblivion's leveling problem like fairly upfront?
Oblivion's leveling problem is a central issue tied to almost every aspect of Oblivion.
I showed my character page.
Oblivion's leveling problem...
Damn, it doesn't say. I'm pretty sure when this clip was recorded, I was like level 1 or level 2. Because like, okay, so if I remember right, what happened was I got out of the tutorial and tried to jumpstart the arena, and then when the arena closed, because you can't fight at night, I would run around Lake Rumare, punching mud crabs to level hand to hand, and then when it opened the next day, I went back and kept fighting in the arena.
Is a central issue tied to almost every aspect of Oblivion. Rather than explaining the problem outright, we're going to work backwards and start with the 3 schools of thought that exist to try and solve the problem.
And I want to emphasize something about this. These 3 schools of thought, I didn't come up with these, okay? Like half this section is me talking about the discourse that has surrounded Oblivion's leveling meta for like the 15 years following the game coming out, up until like, I don't know, 2019, 2020, in terms of like leveling theory. And it's like people who were discussing Oblivion on like TES-G were not talking about like super poisons or like any of that stuff. It was legitimately, the discourse was like, don't level, or here's how you min-max endurance, or just like fuck with the slider. That was the main, or cheat. That was like the main discourse for like 15 years. And like a lot of this section is just me describing what other people, like the conclusions other people had come to. Like I was always on team, I was either on team, there's two ways I play Oblivion. I either min-max and like try to do a somewhat meta build, or I only do perfect min-max meta on Morrowind. I kind of I'm casually min-max on Oblivion, but I either do that or I don't level at all. But like the point of the section was to highlight that like not leveling has an issue.
There's actually quite a bit written on this topic, a sign that there simply is no consensus on which school is the best.
Oh no, I do address it. I literally say there's quite a bit written on this topic. I guess some people might think that when I say there's quite a bit written on the topic, they think I mean that there's quite a bit written in the script. Additions. Ooh, I bet that sounds chunky. I'm typing. No level is best build even in the remaster. I find that hard to believe.
Is simply to ignore the problem. Just play the game. It sounds like a good platitude. Definitely something the smug person would say. I bet it looks fantastic on a Twitter post.
I don't remember the context of this old icon. I don't think I ever actually like used it, but maybe. You'd have to be dumb/obtuse to think you meant in the script there, but that's the thing. That's the thing, is that there are dumb and obtuse people, and it's like, if I can just change it just a little bit so they get it, like, I don't see a problem with that.
Indeed, this solution has its benefits. It takes the least thought on the part of the player in terms of their character building. After all, the goal here is to create a system where the player is defined by the skills they use in the game. But the problems become apparent pretty quickly. This has to involve scaling, which is not in fact the biggest problem with Oblivion, although its implementation is definitely a major contributing factor to the leveling problem. Enemies on the road to Vardenfell were...
Now I'm kind of curious. What do I mean that the scaling is not the biggest issue? Did OG Morrowind tell you the attributes that are going to be leveled, or was that an OpenMW edition? It's an OpenMW edition, so obviously there's some Morrow boomers who really hate it, but yeah, back in the day, Morrowind min-maxing, you really did have to like keep track of all that information. Which, I mean, the easiest way was just open your character sheet, take a screenshot of what level you are at everything, and then just like do the subtraction to figure out how many levels you've gained in certain things.
were scaled, although in Morrowind they were called leveled enemies, which are displayed by these ninja monkeys in the editor.
It's why at level 1 you'll encounter a Scrib or Quama Forager, and later you'll encounter higher level monsters like Elites or Kagutis at the same exact spot.
It's so subtle that people are prone to making the mistake of claiming that Morrowind has no level scaling at all.
This is true. I wonder if this is still an issue with Morrowind videos. Keeping track of each skill you leveled pains me just thinking about it. Yeah, like I said, it's not that hard. You take a screenshot of what all your skill levels are when you level up, and then you just do the math. And it's like, if you've got 10 skill ups, that means its attribute will be +5. Like, it's really simple. Obviously, yeah, it's a bit annoying, but like that was you put up with that for the benefit of min-maxing. And then obviously, Morrowind is a system like Oblivion. I think more so necessitates min-maxing than Morrowind. Morrowind is like kind of an easy game.
This is actually the same scaling system that Oblivion would use. Oblivion just implemented it for everything. And in my opinion, the premise is sound. I don't really have a problem with escalating the threats of the world relative to the player.
I remember I got in trouble for saying something to that effect in relation to Elden Ring. But I'm forgetting the context of what happened. Is there something that's level scaled in Elden Ring? Because I seem to recall there was people that we got in a fight with because I said that like level scaling isn't always bad. Why did they remaster Oblivion first before Morrowind? There's like a disturbing number of people that ask that question. It's like, to me, it's like really obvious. One, it's easier, and two, it's more popular. Like, that's it. That's the long and short of it. Like, it's weird to me that there are people who ask why they didn't remaster Morrowind. Like, at that point, ask why didn't they remaster Daggerfall? Why didn't they remaster Arena? Why didn't they remaster Redguard? Well, okay, that one's a bit self-explanatory, but you kind of get my point. It's like, yes, it's arbitrary. It's based on which games are popular.
In Morrowind, enemies would have set levels, so if a low-level player wanders into a high-level area, they'll probably just get killed, and I think that's great.
Excuse me. You just said that there are leveled enemies in Morrowind. What the fuck? Real nitpicking hours. Imagine the horror of a Fallout 3 remaster where they already take the brain dead RPG gameplay of 2008 and tailor it for the brain dead 2027 audience. Yeah, but I mean, like, the Oblivion remaster is Oblivion's gameplay, so like with some tweaks.
Low-level player wanders into a high-level area, they'll probably just get killed, and I think that's great because it makes the world feel more lived in. If a bunch of powerful mages are living in a ruin, then they should handily stomp some normal low-level guy who wanders into the area. The way that you make that work with scaling has already been done in Skyrim with the Dragon Priests.
No, I still agree with that.
These enemies are relatively tougher than everything else around them, so you get the benefits of having enemies be around the same level as the player, while also preserving the fact that some people in the world should stay relatively powerful.
What am I bingoing here? What was the bingo? What was I thinking? Nope, it's gone.
The reason scaling largely doesn't work is due to the bracketing system. Rather than a smooth transition, enemies are instead staggered every 3 or 4 levels. This leads to a flow where you start a bracket weak and then get decent against a bracket, only to reach the next one and face a new set of enemies that are, relatively, stronger than the previous bracket's weak stage.
You'll spend several levels easily beating on imps before hitting level 8 and running into trolls, who are both tankier and do more damage. By the time you get decent at fighting trolls, they'll be replaced with minotaurs, who are, relatively, tankier and do more damage, who get replaced by ogres, who get replaced by minotaur lords. I've used the word relative several times, and I want to be clear on what it means.
It means I fuck my sister. Add to the notes to bring up the regional minimum level in Skyrim. I don't believe that's real. No, I've heard of the regional minimum level thing before, but at the same time, I think it's honestly so minor that it's not worth mentioning. It was Oblivion review bingo. We came up with it during the Oblivion stream series to make fun of like tropes in Oblivion videos.
Trolls do more damage than imps, that's a given. But they also do more damage relative to what imps did at their respective point in the bracket. An imp probably won't one-shot you when you first encounter them. Ogres and minotaur lords can when you first face them. If you ignore the level...
Operative word being can. I don't think that's something I need to correct, but I do think that's something that like someone would like fuck up.
problem and play how you want to, you'll quickly be overwhelmed by the scaling difficulty of enemies as their damage and health outpace your health and damage. You can solve this problem by turning down the difficulty gradually, but that defeats the purpose of ignoring the problem. Remember, we're not supposed to be thinking about it, we're just supposed to be playing. Adjusting the difficulty...
Excuse me? Is changing the difficulty such a big deal? I will say, scope thing, I'm not bringing up anything in the remaster and the Oblivion Spotify thing. It's just going to be in the dedicated Spotify or dedicated remaster video where I talk about the changes. This kind of makes it sound like the system of brackets is a major mistake, but a game like Path of Exile does that too. It works there. It's not a problem if the gameplay is engaging. Kind of disagree on the merit of the reason it works in Path of Exile is because the game gives you more levers to interface with the system, whereas like your main lever for interfacing with the scaling difficulty of enemies in Oblivion was your endurance attribute, your weapon attribute, and your weapon skill. Like those are the three main levers. And as a result, it kind of just turns into shit. Are you looking forward to or dreading Elder Scrolls 6? I will remind you that Emil Pagliarulo will be the lead designer of Elder Scrolls 6. And there's part of me that's very cynical and thinks that, like, he's gonna fucking sandbag that project. Like, full stop.
Slider on the fly is not a good solution to the problem.
Hang on. Would it be rude to do a joke goal that's like 10 super chats, you know what? Is there like a decent microphone? Like, it has to be a USB microphone. So decent is not a factor, obviously. Holy shit, Superbad only got 285,000 views in 6 months. Sorry, anyways. It's got to be as decent as a USB microphone can get, but it has to be like something that you could get at Walmart. I'm not sure if I have the space to carry a microphone, but at the same time, I'm starting to be convinced that if like there's a USB mic that's decently compact, maybe I could get it. And then I could set a goal for it. He's the lead designer. That's the assumption. Who's left at Bethesda that could even take the reins? Okay, Bruce Nesmith left in 2021. Kurt Coleman left in 2024. Will Shin left in 2024. Like, okay, Bruce Nesmith and Kurt Coleman, those are the Skyrim guys. Okay, Immel didn't lead Skyrim. And this is what I find endlessly funny about the Immel Defense Force is like, two guys who made Skyrim, quadrillions of dollars, billions of sales. Everyone on Earth has heard of Skyrim. Okay, I think Skyrim has sold more than all of Immel's lead games combined. Okay, well, okay, here's the thing. I have, what brand are they? The Soundcore Life Pros, the P3s or whatever. I have those. I was listening to the audio quality of them to do that podcast, and they sounded like dog shit. I think it's got to be corded to be decent. I've been reading Bruce's book he wrote. It's really bad. It might make a good stream. Hold on. Is it fiction or nonfiction? Is it like a fantasy story that he wrote, or is it like an account of him working at Bethesda?
Problem because it means diving into a submenu on the fly to modulate enemy threat levels.
This is one of the questionable changes because the variable still exists for you to do a difficulty slider. The difficulty slider is literally just, I forget if it's negative 100 to 100 like it is in Morrowind, but it's like a number. It's just 0 to 100, and that's how difficult the game is. And for some reason they decided, no, it needs to be 5 set tiers. And so it's like, in Oblivion, you could modulate it where it's like 1% less difficult. Like, unironically, you could make the game 1% less difficult, and who knows, maybe that's the perfect threshold. Whereas like now it's just like, yeah, you can either suffer or make it 20% easier, which I think is too much. Which, yeah, that's how it is in Skyrim, but still. Would there be any hope for Elder Scrolls 6 or just straight black pills? I've banned blackpilling. I try to be optimistic, but there's not a lot of like positive signs. I think the Oblivion remaster is a decently positive sign because it's been received moderately well, and it's like it should go to show that like they don't need to make a Skyrim 2, and I think like Starfield was a sign that they were not taking it in a Skyrim 2 situation. Like it won't be as bad as Skyrim. The question is, will it be as good as Oblivion? And that's really hard to say yes to. What did the difficulty slider in Morrowind affect? I mean, same thing it always affects. Amount of damage you do, amount of health enemies have.
I have an audio interface with a volume knob on it that quickly lets me change the volume of the audio in my computer without having to play with the settings or the built-in software volume mixer.
God, I wish I had that right now.
I kind of wanted one of those, but just tied to the difficulty in Oblivion. See...
Hey, so... Guys, it's modern year, right? Like, this could exist. Like... Can you hot swap, like, well, surely the game does it. So, like, you could set up Oblivion to modulate difficulty on the fly, right? Like, that seems like something that you could reasonably do. And I mean, there are programmable knobs or, like, keyboard components or what have you where, like, you set custom scripting. Like, guys, I think that could be a thing. Like, in the modern world, with the keyboard modding that we have in the modern day, and like the script functionality access that we have to Oblivion, I feel like you could actually make this today. You probably could have made it back in the day. It just would have been harder. I also consider expert ideal. That's why I don't get why Kratos decided to critique Skyrim by playing solely on legendary difficulty. It was an odd decision. I get what he was going for. It's like, if the game has problems, like the root of the problem should be the most apparent on legendary difficulty. That said, you'd have to ask him if he still stands by that, because when I was talking to him about, because I told him like, hey, I'd like to see you make more Skyrim videos, and we talked for a bit about it, and he was like, yeah, if I work on that project again, he's gonna do it as one part, but he would redo what has already been released. And I don't know, I'd be curious to see if he kind of stands by that mentality. I don't think I don't think it's too weird an idea. Like, yeah, it's added post launch, but like at the same time, like it really wasn't added post launch. Like legendary difficulty is just going into the INI and like setting the difficulty really ridiculously high. You know, that's we were doing that. Private Sessions and I were running a Tez 3MP server where we just kept scaling the difficulty up every time. Every time we leveled, we would increase the difficulty, and like when we stopped, we were past what the default max difficulty is in Morrowind, because you can just keep making that number bigger, and it just keeps like scaling up. It's actually kind of funny.
The problem can't be solved by turning the difficulty down to easy that way. Remember, skills level as you use them.
I stand by this position. They did change it in the remaster, but again, I'm not going to bring that up. All right, did we survive? No, I'm on hotel Wi-Fi, and that's a gamble if it's good or not. All right, cool. Chat, what was the last thing you remember? You guys are going to give me no right answers. What was the last thing you remember me talking about? Was it this?
That Palestine needs to be freed from Israeli occupation.
The wildest part of that clip is that, like, I'm gonna be real with you. If I did that, I would at least have the B-roll not be Oblivion, because it feels fucking stupid to just have like generic Oblivion quest on in the background while you're talking about something serious. I don't know, just a little silly to me. About 420 and the origins of Hitler. Well, I mean, Hitler came from where all evil things came from. A woman. So I didn't know about the H3 button. I gotta admit, that button is a great bit. I'm thinking about stealing that fucking bit. Because you can do funny stuff, like, and then that implies that like something happened, like, so you can imply that like a racist rant happened, but you don't actually have to be racist or go on a racist rant.
You're seeing on screen is the number of times you have to use a skill in order to max out its level. Base is the default if the skill is not part of your major class or specializations. Major skills are the skills that are part of your class, and specialization are the skills that fall under the part of the RPG trifecta you chose. So, for example, for me to raise my blade skill, which is not in my character specialization, or his major skills to 100, I would have to land 20,435 blows.
Well, just add the skill to your class, forehead. And it's like, yeah, but you know how, like, you know the fundamental theory of how min-maxing works in Oblivion, right? This isn't like Morrowind where, yeah, you add the skill to your class for the weapon type you want to use if you want to have a good time. That's not the point. Because the same thing's true in Morrowind metagaming. If you are Morrowind metagaming, then you don't add the weapon skill that you want to use to your class. But that's because you're cognizant that, yeah, your hit chance is going to suck and you're doing some type of meta thing to work around that problem. Whereas like you have less options to work around the problem in Oblivion, which is why it sucks, but that's the way you do it because you do not in Oblivion want to be in that situation where you're 9 out of 10 on your way to leveling up and your blade skill is about to level up and hit you 10 out of 10 because then you can't get your plus fives, right? You cannot make attribute progress in Oblivion if you're about to level up. Like if you qualify for a level up, your attribute progress freezes by default, which is why to meta you have to not use the weapon type. But yes, super poisons changed that because you can more easily like kind of exert control because obviously using poisons contributes significantly less to level progress. Like that was a big tech change, and obviously I didn't discover it, but I had never read about it, and so I kind of discovered it on my own in making the video, and that like changed my mentality. Why are we talking about racism, chat? I know I did the button thing, but like, come on.
Now, if I lower the difficulty to the bottom, almost every enemy in the game dies in 1 or 2 hits, delaying my progression that much more. I spent the first hour of the game running around Lake Rumari, picking Nernrit and punching mud crabs to train my hand-to-hand at high difficulty, because in order to train effectively I need the crabs to survive several hits. And enemies vary wildly in their health. The difficulty that is ideal for fighting monsters and undead is way different than the difficulty that is ideal for fighting conjurers or necromancers.
Go off, King. It's so fucking true. I'm glad Never Knows Best. I'm glad Private Sessions brought this up. That like there are different tiers of what the difficulty needs to be set at in Oblivion, where it's like one difficulty level is good for necromancers, and then a different difficulty level is good for monsters. Jesus Christ, that mud crab got hands. No, like, people legit don't understand. You max the difficulty in Oblivion, and fighting mud crabs at level 1 is hard. Which, granted, I have a hand-to-hand skill of 5, maybe 10 at that point, right? So I'm doing no damage while I'm punching it. But that's the point. You want to do low damage. That way you get more hits in. That means you get more skill XP. What skill would you add back in? That's tough. Spear adds more gameplay, and medium armor adds more like gear progression. So I'm not sure which one I would go for. Maxing difficulty is pointless though. No, I literally just said if you max the difficulty, you can hit enemies more, which gives you more ability to train your weapon skills. So like it has a functional purpose in metagaming Oblivion.
See how much we're thinking about the problem now? So the next argument will be to simply ignore the leveling and keep the difficulty down. But that doesn't work.
Oh my god, just let him finish. Chat, you just got blasted. Let him finish. Yeah, I'm not sure if Imperials still get hand-to-hand bonus in Oblivion. It could be true, but I don't remember. Not unarmored. I honestly think medium armor is better than unarmored.
Work as well because some mechanics are tied behind perks which unlock at higher levels. And ignoring the leveling means we enter another school of thought when approaching Oblivion's leveling problem. The only winning move is not to play. See, a solution to this problem of enemy escalation is simple. Don't level. If you watch a video of someone playing Oblivion and they always have this icon next to their compass, it means they're practicing the school of thought. It has its...
Okay, hang on. 3322, explain what the icon is. You want to take that risk? Chat, you want to take that risk? Huh? We can take that risk. I just hope you know what you're signing up for. Like, okay, listen. If I have more than 2 minutes of audio difficulty setting up the audio devices to switch to my headphones, and if I switch to my headphones and it's worse, I'm ending the stream. All right? Does that sound fair? All right, chat, how do we sound? All right, chat, how do we sound? I think it's a side grade personally, but if you think that's better, then good on you. I think it's a total side grade. Also, I can't hear the music now, but it's still somehow playing. We're going through the eras. We started in 2007, now we're going to 2012. Wait, does this mean that...
Strengths.
Great, now I can't fucking hear the video. I told you, chat. I told you, chat, if I have to fuck with it. I don't know why, but sometimes when I use these headphones, it just can't switch. It can't make the switch to the right audio device. Let me relaunch the browser. Why do you need to hear it? Just remember what you said. So true, King.
So it's basically illegal to release.
Yeah, it still like doesn't. Does it output in
A 7
OBS?
hour and 53
It
minute
outputs
video
in
on a game.
OBS, but it doesn't output to me. Like I can't hear it. Virtual cables. This is not a situation where I should need a virtual cable. It's not muted in the volume mixer. Listen to OBS's output. You're right.
Game netting hundreds of thousands of
No, that doesn't work either. What the hell? I might not be able to hear anything, actually, if that's the case. God, why is it so fucking weird? Check what the default audio device is. See, that's the thing. The default audio output device is headphones. The other option is speakers/headphones. And that just puts it on the laptop speakers. I guess I can work with that. I mean, the difference is the mic, so no, there's no wire. There's these fucking sound cores, dude. They're the most annoying thing. They fucking so when I go to like adjust the if they were at 0%, the mic wouldn't work. If I go to adjust them in my ear, and I touch the context sensitive part for too long, it either pauses the video that I'm listening to, which is annoying, or worse, that's the right ear. The right ear pauses it. The left ear goes to the previous video. Okay? So if like I'm adjusting it in my ear, suddenly I'm like listening to the previous video. Sometimes it doesn't even remember where I was. So I got to stop and fix that. Okay? You know what's worse? To change the settings, you have to fucking sign into an account on an app. You have to sign into an account. And I have an account, but it doesn't remember my fucking like password every time. So like every month I gotta re-sign into this stupid fucking account so that I can, oh, um do I want to be on noise reduction mode, or do I want to be, why do I need an account to do this? Those bastards. So annoying. But other than that, I think they're pretty good quality. Where are we at? Are we back? Are we back, or is it over? Yeah, whenever I have issues, I just disconnect and reconnect to the Wi-Fi. They're trying to listen, the BDS, they're trying to shut me down. I'm not supporting the boycott correctly.
this problem of enemy escalation is simple. Don't level. If you watch a video...
Oh, now that is juicy, yes. Let's get the feedback going. Alright, we gotta fix that. Fuck. Okay. Oh, nope. I'm fine with that TBH as long as it's not both. I'm fine with the feedback at this point. You guys are delusional. You want to hear the video through the microphone of the headphones over the laptop microphone. All right, well, I've had to mess with it too much and it is getting kind of late. I'm going to go back to like I'm working on the New Vegas script and well, no, I was doing Dead Money last I checked. I watched a video about how some guy put in the time to figure out how the New Vegas stealth detection system works. Turns out it's like tied to enemy level, and since like the ghost people in Dead Money scale really fucking high, they're like the highest rate of detection in the game. But yeah, I guess we're gonna get out of here. So yeah, be sure to check out this panel that I did. You just have to let go, chat. Listen, it's about learning to let go. All right. Before we leave, we'll set a goal. 50 super chats. Red and higher. Set a timer. 15 minutes. Share how you'll celebrate. I will end the stream. Okay? We hit this goal, and we're good.